Chris, just a couple days away from your fight. How are you feeling? How was training camp coming into this?
Yeah, it was great. It's great. I did about 8 weeks at American Top Team, and then I flew over here yesterday morning, jumped in the PI, get familiar with the place. You know, I've been here a couple of times now, so feels good. Feels good to be back in Vegas. Nice dry heat. It's nothing like Scotland.
Yeah, I bet. You know, a lot of times when people get used to that PI, they start deciding whether they want to relocate to Vegas. You know, like You know, talk a little bit about the facilities over there and how it helps you when you're just fine tuning these last days before your fight.
Yeah, you know, everything's in hand. You know, you've got the UFC staff here on call. You know, they make it so easy for you. I'm very fortunate to be in the UFC and the guys looking after you. You know, you're just by a text, you know, they'll do anything for you, and obviously the facilities state of the art. You know, they've put a lot of money, effort, and time into it. So you know, it's great to reap the rewards.
And I know it's the Apex. It's not T-Mobile Arena. And, you know, you split some bouts here with the Contender Series. Does this place still have some special meaning to you, the Apex?
Yeah, absolutely. I earned my UFC contract. You know, I remember when I was a young kid thinking about trying to get into the UFC. You know, I dreamt about being in the UFC. And, you know, I used to blow out candles, used to put coins in wishing wells to try and get to the UFC. And
that's awesome. You
know, that's a dream I've completed now. So I need to change. I have changed my goals and admirations. And not many people can say that they've managed to get their dreams. So I'm in a very fortunate position, and, you know, it's great to be back.
I think there's a lot of people trying to get to the UFC. So which one worked? Was it the wishing well? Which one did the final trick?
This bad boy here. That got me to the UFC.
Yeah, unfortunately, that wishing well won't get that one.
Yeah.
You know, just before we move on beyond the contenders, you know, Slava Claus is still around. Is that a fight that you'd ever like to revisit?
Of course, you know, I had when I was fighting in the Contender Series and I fought him, you know, throughout that fight week, I had an opponent pull out on the day of the fight. Then I was meant to fight on the Saturday. They were going to sign me to the UFC, and then they were going to make me fight in Vegas. And then they said, that's not going to happen. The commission won't allow it. So you're going to fight in 10 days' time against Slava. So I cut weight 3 times. And then I got my chance to make my opportunity and fight Slava. Unfortunately, you know, due to the weight cut and many other things, I put on a really bad performance. And theoretically, I should have probably grappled a little bit more. But I tried to seize the opportunity and make sure I put on a performance in front of Dana and Sean. But after the fight, they said it was like the best 2 rounds he had seen in Contender Series so far. They came back through to the back and said to me, Chris, we want guys like you on the show. We realise what you've done to get to the position you're in right now, cutting weight 3 times. It was in COVID as well, so I couldn't move around Vegas. I was stuck in my hotel room for 3 weeks on my own, and I still went ahead and fought. And, you know, good things come in time, and now I'm in the UFC, so who cares?
Yeah. Do you still follow the Contender Series? Do you watch it, and do you follow any of the fighters that still come through that series?
Yeah, I love it. It's what got me to the dance. It's like it's the place to be. It's the only place to be. If you want to get the shortcut into the UFC, put on performances in your pro career, start finishing people, and then chap on Sean Shelby's door, and he's going to put you into the Contender Series, and then you're going to win, and you're going to get into the UFC. You know, it's hard to get into the UFC, and it's even harder to stay here.
Yeah. And, you know, coming in with the 2-fight win streak, you know, what's been the keys to success to enable you to keep getting these wins? If you had to look back on something, is it just the overall training? Is it just the talent? I mean, why do you think you've been so successful so far?
I think surrounding myself with positive and like-minded people. You know, I moved my training camp to American Top Team. You know, guys like Mike Brown, all this sort of stuff. You know, these guys are like looking after you as a fighter. They're not just turning up, doing a session and like telling you a couple of techniques. They're looking at your opponent, they're looking at you, they're going through techniques. Like, it's different gravy. Like back home in Scotland, like the gym owner is usually the coach, and they need to focus on making money for the gym so they can provide a life for themselves. Whereas at American Top Team, they pay the coaches to come in and look after you. So that's their job, and that's all they need to do. So that's super important, and that's been a massive part of my game.
Talk to me a little bit about the state of MMA in Scotland. How is it right now? Are there lots of prospects in the work? I mean, as a whole, do the people get behind MMA and the fighters that are training in the sport?
Yeah, for sure. It's a bit weird in Scotland right now. Like, there's a couple good gyms. They kind of battle against each other. But myself and Robert Whiteford, we're the black sheep of Scotland. We train by ourselves. You know, Robert Whiteford was the first UFC fighter from Scotland, and we've just been training together since, God knows how many years now, 12 years maybe. And you know, we've just been hard at it and just putting the head down, working hard, and making sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to be a better fighter. And now I'm in the UFC, and you know, I'm still trying to get better, and we're both working together still, and we're always getting better.
And then you're given the name Mateusz Rebecki. You know, where's he dangerous, and what are you expecting to see from him on Saturday in the cage?
Well, we all know he comes forward. You know, he's a bit of a brawler. I think he's going to wrestle me a little bit, to be honest. But you know, it takes no genius to know that he's going to come forward with some heat. So we need to obviously make sure we're not getting caught in stupid places. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. He's a great opponent to have in front of me.
And I know you have a fan-friendly style. I'm sure you'd like to fight overseas in front of some crowds. You know, with a win here. You know, are you hoping to fight again this year? And where would you like to try to fight?
I'd fight in Scotland. That would be great. But you know, I don't think we'll get that opportunity for a while now. But you know, I'm happy to fight anywhere. In fact, no, I'll not fight in Mexico City again. That was pretty mad. I didn't like that. But you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
And tell me if I'm wrong. You've trained with him. You guys trained extensively before, more so than just random sparring. You know, occasionally in the gym. You guys have some history in the gym, right?
Yeah. So to be honest, I took this fight on a bit of a weird reason. So I had my debut, 2000 and whatever it be, against Omar Morales. But my opponent had pulled out before that, so I was meant to fight Michał Figlak. He was a Polish guy as well, and we had done my training camp, and Mateusz Rebecki was already in that in the gym. He went away, had his fight, he won, and then when he heard my opponent had pulled out, he said, "I'll fight you." We'd already been in the gym together, so I was a little bit like, we're supposed to be teammates. Yeah. So, you know, I told him on Twitter, I just said, get in line. Everybody's wanting a piece, so just get in line. So, you know, when this fight came about later down the line, Sean Shelby sent his name over. I'm a guy who likes to give, and his wish was to fight me, so I gave him that wish. So, you know, I think it's a bad move on him, but, you know, I was happy to do it. He's a very respectful opponent. He was super respectful to me in the gym. And we're just going to go out there and clash. And I'm going to show him I'm the better fighter. It's just unfortunate we trained in the same gym. And I was also very fortunate that American Top Team were so professional in regards to, you know, keeping us separate from our trainings and stuff like that. So, you know, it is what it is. And like I say, I'm going to make his wish come true.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I was going to say, is it tough to... It's not like you guys were best of friends, but it's still, like you said, you thought at first when he asked for the name that you were teammates. Is it tough to shed that and not take it personal and just get back to, hey, it's business?
The money that I'm on to fight right now, I would punch my gran for that. So it is what it is.
What did your grandfather ever do to you? And I guess just last for me, keys to a victory. What needs to happen to make sure you get your arm raised on Saturday?
I think I could win everywhere. You know, I'm obviously going to capitalise on every mistake that he makes. He makes quite a lot of mistakes in fights. So do I. Well, it's just part and parcel of the job. So on the ground, we've been working some series of techniques. Striking, we've worked some series of techniques, and then wrestling. You know, I see a key to victory everywhere. You know, it's just where he takes the fight will obviously dictate where I finish it.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Just two quick ones for me. You talked about American Top Team, obviously a legendary gym, just a factory for UFC legends. Talk about what it's like for your development as a martial artist, going in there every day and seeing all of those legendary fighters in there every day.
It's a bit of a pinch me moment. You know, a lot of people, you know, message me. For instance, that like Dustin has got such star power, it's unbelievable. Like I took a picture with him when we did some sparring in my camp. And then everybody's messaging me, Chris, can you get me a picture with him? Can you get me a picture with you? And I'm like, why do you not want a picture with me? But yeah, no, it's sometimes it's a bit of a pinch me moment. You know, I'm very fortunate. I say fortunate all the time because I'm very thankful for it. But I've put myself there. I've worked bloody hard to get where I am right now, and I'm just bathing in it. I love it.
Last one for me, fellow countryman Paul Craig. I know you guys had some back and forth in the past with the face paint stuff or whatever.
He had the back and forth. I never had.
Have you spoken to him, or have you guys quashed that?
Yeah,
or?
we speak now and again. I don't think we've got beef. Well, maybe he's got beef with me, but I don't know. And then it was taken out of context in the last fight. I said I'm no excited Scottish fighter. It meant to be on the card. It wasn't like that. But I don't. If he's got beef with me because I paint my face, that's his problem. But if anything, you would think he's led the way so far. Maybe me copying him, it's maybe a good thing. Maybe I look up to him. He's a bit silly if he's got beef with me, but I don't think he has.
Imitation's flattery, right?
Yeah, of course. Like he's got the aura, and he's leading the way right now. So why not have people copy? I think it's great. I see Dustin. Sometimes you see him, you're like, fuck, that's cool. I'm going to copy that. Or I train with a guy called Yaroslav. He's a really inspirational fighter. You see him, you're like, I try and copy some of his techniques. When you're in training camp, you're trying to copy other techniques and trying to see what works for you. So I don't see that as a bad thing.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Done. Thank you, guys.